I'll invite Barbara Hsu and Kathleen Valenga forward.
In 1975, when I came to McAllister Presbyterian, it was then, and asked this congregation to join with Dayton Avenue, it's hard to imagine now that we had no idea we'd be getting Hmong people, because we'd never heard of Hmong people. We were bringing Southeast Asians, and when Leng and his family arrived, we said, "You're Laotian." "No, we're Hmong." "What? We're Hmong." Had not heard the name. We were acting both as conduits of compassion, but I realized, listening to Adam this morning, we were also the blind beggars. Our congregations, our city, our state needed children. We needed people who were young and working jobs. We could never have imagined the thriving community that the Hmong in Minnesota have transformed in our state. So we also had no idea then that Dayton Avenue was going to be sold, the building, and as we looked at what we had available, where to put things, the beautiful hanging that Hmong brought to us at that time is going to the Historical Society. We've gone through that process and they have accepted it. But we will, another hanging in the church, which our daughter Charlotte, who's been part of this family since she was a kid, saying, "Who are these new people?" This has been hanging in our church, and it's going to hang here at Mac Plymouth now, downstairs in the coffee room. They also gave us, and Denise, can you come forward now? Denise is going to model the hat that Leng gave us. Okay, Denise, come right up here so everyone can see. Denise can give this hat to the church to keep, because I understand the hats were designed to make the children look like flowers. They would be safer then. Is that right, Leng? So Leng has something to say, and his son, and then Barbara will accept the banner on behalf of the church.
Thank you, Kathy.
Louder. Get closer.
42 years ago, this congregation, along with the Avenue Presbyterian Church, open your heart and your arms to sponsor my family, offer me a home again, and a new life in America. And I'm very proud, I'm very happy that with God's grace that you all open your arms to and open the door for me and my family, a home here in Minnesota. And I, along with my family, being the first Hmong family in refugee in Minnesota, came to Minnesota during the very cold season from a 90-degree Fahrenheit in Thailand. Suddenly ended up in Minnesota in sub-zero temperature, and I exit out of the airport to the car that was waiting outside for me, and it was Charles Johnson, Professor Charles Johnson. I was trying to catch my breath of not being able to breathe because it was so cold. And then along the way to the Liberty Plaza from the airport, I saw no green, but all brown, new leaves. I asked Professor Johnson, I said, is this what I will see all the year round like this, and will never be sea green? And he assured me that it will come back in the spring, that I will see green again. And so I feel better. And it was Kathy and Barbara that were the anchor of assisting our family and teach, and then they line up with people to teach us how to use refrigerator, stove, and things, because we were not used to all those fancy equipment like this country had. We live in a different lifestyle with no refrigeration, no gas, no electricity, and all of a sudden we came to Minnesota, and so we were taught how to use all of those appliances, and I'm very grateful. I was thin, but with all of the good things that this country offer, now I gained quite a bit of pounds, and I look much healthier now than back then. And I thank you so much for all your love. It is of God's great of the love that you've given us to our family, and I'm very proud and very happy to be here. And I'll turn it over to my son to say a couple words.
So, just want to start. My name is Colby. A lot of people ask me like, "Oh yeah, like Kobe, right?" And I'm like, "It's like the cheese, guys. Sorry about that." I mean, you want me to tell the truth? Colby cheese is like, okay, this is whatever. But when I'm also at school, people come up to me and they're like, "What are you, dude? Like, what's like your ethnicity, man?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm Hmong." And they're like, "Oh yeah, like Mongolian?" And I'm like, "It's a nice try, You're doing your best." But it really is funny because listening to my parents' stories, and not only their stories, but it's also my story. It took so much for us to get here, so much pain and suffering. And when the war started, there was just no love for anyone, it felt. Back in Laos, back in Vietnam, back in Thailand, everybody was just looking out for themselves. So many civilians were just killed. So many people were just killed just because of who they were, what they believed in. It didn't really matter. People just died. And listening to that story, and thinking about my life in America and how strange it was for my parents to come to America, there's so much love here. I heard a quote once. It was, "You can raise your child in a house full of love, but you can't protect them in a world full of hate." That's why we, as people, as a church, have to treat the whole world as if it was our home. Have to love everyone in order for there to be true happiness, true peace, in order for love to beat out hate. My parents loved me so much, and sometimes, obviously as being a teenager, I'm like, why don't you, just let me go hang out with my friends, they're cool, all the other parents are like this, and I didn't realize how different my parents were for a long time, You can hear by my voice and the way I speak. I don't have an accent. I go to St. Thomas Academy, a military all-boys school, Catholic, a lot of white kids. And it's just, I'll go to there, I'll go to school and I'll go home or I look in the mirror and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm Hmong, And the way people treat me, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm Hmong. And sometimes when I was a kid, I used to wish, I wish it was a cooler race, like Chinese. Chinese are cool. Japanese are cool, And then it took me a long time to be proud of who I was because, nobody knew who we were. We're not cool, I took a lot of things for granted because I was born here. I didn't have the same experiences as my family. And in my opinion, I won't ever truly know how they feel, what they think. I just know their stories. I can see their pain. I can know their pain. The only thing I really can do, and we really, as a society, we can do, is to let people know. Let people know we exist. We are Hmong. We're here. We went through a war, went through all these terrible things. But we're still strong. We're still living. We're still a community in Minnesota, in the United States. We're still here. Thank you.
I feel privileged to have been able to help with this project. Is there anyone here who was also on those committees? And Paula Nessa was a dietitian who helped with making the shift from their kind of food to our kind of food and how you find it in the store. But mostly I want to thank the Wongs for inspiring us to trust that love that sustained their daring to venture into this unknown.